and gentlemen. Welcome to the 7-Figure Fashion Business Podcast,
where we talk about the fashion industry and how to get your fashion business to 7 figures.
From manufacturing strategies, cut and sew designers, to fashion hot topics and the latest fashion trends, I'm your host, Monica Moique.
And I'm your host, XYZeee. And let's jump into today's episode.
Today's a special day. We have our very first ever guest.
I'm the first guest.
You are the very first guest.
Did you know that?
No.
You are our very first guest.
So special.
Very special. So, brief little introduction. Well, first of all, this is Monica Moique speaking. We have
Deja,
aka
XYZ.
But we have Raelia with us today, and I'm gonna have you do your own intro, just a brief background, because we'll get into all the details in a minute. But
hey y'all, my name is Raelia Lewis. I'm an author, model, podcaster. I do just about everything entrepreneur, and I'm actually in Monica's store, Oxymoron.
Yes, your collection is in my store.
Yes.
Your swimsuit collection,
Jewelry,
your jewelry collection, shop accessorized. We can jump into it a little bit right now. So right now, first, how I met you is through your collections, through you having the accessory collection and the swimsuit collection. That's kind of where I met you. Tell me a little bit about why and how you got or decided to get started with accessories or swimsuits, whichever one came first.
So accessories actually came first, and I was modeling full-time for years, and I just knew as I got older that I needed to do more. Modeling is all about, you have to show up, you have to book the job, somebody has to tell you yes, and I just wanted more like ownership, more control over my finances. So I started with jewelry because it just felt easier. I don't want to lie and say, oh, I've always loved jewelry, because I prefer clothes. Like, I never had a lot of jewelry. I was like the girl that always needed a new outfit. But as I started to sell jewelry, I began to cultivate like a love for jewelry, and I began to learn different kinds of jewelry. So I kind of like learned and grew over like years. But it wasn't like my first love. It was just I wanted to do more, and I just took a leap of faith. I just tried something different.
Okay.
As far as the swim, that was something I've always wanted to do. But ironically, I'm enjoying the jewelry a lot better than the swim.
Okay.
But I'm loving. I always loved swim. I've always been like a bikini whore. I always use that terminology, and I had a dream about starting a swimsuit line probably around like 2017. Like I saw the name, I saw the logo, and I was like, I should do that. So when the pandemic came, I actually decided to just like invest and just go for it. So I've been doing both business together since probably around 2020, and I launched the jewelry line in 2017, but I didn't take it seriously, and relaunched it again in 2019.
Okay. So for the people listening, what is the name of your swimwear collection?
My swimsuit line is Wave Swim, and my jewelry is Shop Accessorized.
Okay. And both of those, the website is waveswim.com.
Waveswim.com, shopaccessorized.com.
Okay. So we're going to jump back into this part, the business part. But if we go even further back, how the world met you.
Yes.
Did you want to ask her a couple questions?
Sorry. So I've always wanted to be on America's Next Top Model. So when Monica told me that she was on America's Next Model, I was excited.
Oh.
And I feel like I have like a million questions.
Shoot,
do you want to talk about?
I don't mind.
Oh.
It's part of my life.
So, sorry.
I'm
so nervous.
Why are you nervous?
I hate when she says that she's nervous, because I feel like that makes you more nervous if you say you're nervous. So stop saying that.
Okay. Crop that part out.
Okay. You see Andy?
Yeah. Speak up or sit up? Oh, okay. So,
I'm gonna stare at her because I feel like you like, don't look at me.
Right. I cannot with this girl. So, I'm gonna start. What was that process like? What made you want to audition?
I've always wanted to be on the show since like, when did it launch? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Well, since it launched, and I remember seeing Eva pick first season, that was cycle 3. I was like, I'm going on that show. So I had to be probably like 12, I think.
Okay.
And I was just like, I always knew I wanted to model. You know, seeing Tyra Banks made me realize that I could do something like that. I was always tall, I was always skinny, lanky. So I was like, okay, if I don't fit in anywhere else, I can fit in there. So I just started to figure out how to model throughout my teenage years. And when I turned 18, I started auditioning for the show.
Okay, so you auditioned more than once?
I auditioned like 3 times for Top Model and once for The Face, which was Naomi Campbell's show.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Top Model auditions were really long, really difficult, really challenging, really competitive. My first year auditioning, I was straight out of high school. I was 18.
Okay.
And I can't remember where I went to the audition, but I know I made it to the New York round where we had to go into New York, audition some more. It was so many girls. It was almost like American Idol, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Long hallways, extra personalities, all that stuff. And I made it to the part where they was like, we're going to give out contracts and we'll see you guys after the holiday. So I felt good about my chances. I'm like, okay, you got it. My brother at the time, he actually purchased my passport, because you need a passport to travel abroad as a part of the show when they travel and all that. So I got my passport, I got it expedited, I was really excited, never heard anything back.
Bruh.
So I was really disappointed. So at 19, they came back to Philly. I think they went to Bare Feet in Violet Kenwood.
Yeah.
I went back there.
Memories.
I don't know.
Did you work there?
No, it's just like, so I used to live close to there. So.
Oh, that, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that time, I think I made it to like the second round and I got cut again. So I was really sad. And then I auditioned again in, I think Atlantic City. Like a photographer I knew from Philly drove me and my friend down.
Okay.
We auditioned, and I don't even think I got called back at all that time. One memory that stands out was the time I went to New York the second try with my little brother, and it was his first time like leaving Philly. He went with me, and he was like so bored. And I remember I had him there all day because, you know, it was so much time, so long to constantly cast for the show.
Right.
And I got cut like in person. Like they were like, nah, like no thank you, y'all can go, like this group can go.
Is it Tyra?
No, you don't see Tyra
The
at
regular
those.
judges, it's just...
You see none of them at those. That's like the introductory stages. So you see like people I guess who are a part of the show, but they're not recognizable.
Yeah.
So I got cut and I cried the whole taxiway to the bus station. Like I was devastated. And my brother was just sitting there looking at me like, yeah. So after that, I was just like a little bitter about the show. I was like, whatever. I'm gonna still try to model. I was going to community college. I was working at the Pyramid Club. No, not yet. I wasn't at the Pyramid Club yet, but I was at community college, and I was at the Philadelphia Zoo. I was working there. And I was just still trying to like pursue modeling, like sending them pictures. And I heard The Face was auditioning like a year after that, and I auditioned for The Face. I might have been like 2021 around that time. That's the year that Sandra from Philly actually made The Face.
Okay.
Didn't get that. So I just kept pursuing modeling. I booked a trip to LA with some girls I just met. I went to every agency in LA, probably every agency 3 times in New York, and I just kept getting rejected, but I just wasn't going to stop. I wasn't going to give up. And eventually, a girl I went to high school with, she tagged me in an Instagram post that Top Model was casting for their 21st cycle.
Okay.
And I was 22 at the time. Now I'm working at the Pyramid Club as a server. And I hate my job, but I need some money. And I'm doing a bunch of photo shoots in Philly, like networking in the Philly scene. Like,
this was after you moved to LA?
No, this was before LA. I didn't move to LA till after the show.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was still living in Philly, still living with my mom, my dad, and just trying to figure out if I could really do this modeling thing. And when I heard about the show casting, I didn't really care because I was like, I don't need a show to model to make it, so whatever. But a part of me was like, just send us some pictures.
Right.
So I sent them pictures and I got hit back like right away. And I was like, okay. They really liked my personality. They wanted to jump on a Skype call. We got on the Skype call probably like later that week. And shout out to Gene. He was actually like my casting person. He actually got me on the show. He scouted me. And he loved my personality. He was like, you would be great for the show. But this season, they wasn't doing like the nationwide search where they was going from city to city. They were only doing like one big audition in LA.
Okay.
And I had just left LA with the girls I had met like at another casting. And we didn't get turned. We got rejected from every single agency in LA. So I didn't have like the money to like get back to LA.
Right.
So I picked up all these shifts because I'm like, I'm not going to miss out on this opportunity. Like I'm definitely going to still go to the because I didn't the casting in LA wasn't mandatory, but Gene was like, if you really want to make the show, I really think you should show up to the casting because if not, all we have of you is like Skype footage and pictures. Like you really want to go there and really leave an impression. So I picked up all these extra shifts and I flew to LA. And when I tell you everything that could have went wrong, went wrong.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, it's like that's just life to me. Like, soon as you're close to something, when I tell you everything falls apart.
Not a surprise.
I get to the audition in LA, and the hotel overcharges my card and take all of my money.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
So now I have no money. So I'm sitting in the lobby like, ma'am, I'm from Philly by myself out here trying to get on this reality show, and I have no way to get to the audition tomorrow. I have no way to eat tonight. I have no way to get to the airport the next day. Like, so I was just freaking out, just crying, and the hotel person wound up just like giving me cash and being like, just don't worry about it.
Was it an accident?
Yeah, because I had got like a hotel hot wire.
Okay.
And you know, when you pay online.
Right.
And I guess the person might have been new, and they swiped me like the real price again for the hotel, like actually in person.
Right.
Charging me twice. I'm a server. I don't have no money.
Right.
You know, so like they took everything I had.
Right.
You know, but it wound up working out, and I went to that audition, and it was crazy, like pandemonium. Like girls were everywhere.
Wow.
And I remember when it was my turn to audition, I waited for like hours. We're in LA, and I got up there, and I'm just being myself. Like, I'm talking. At the time, I'm a virgin. I'm a 22-year-old virgin. So, you know, Jay made sure that I included that, you know, and I guess my performance, whatever you want to call it. And I just had fun. They asked me to dance. I danced, and I love to twerk. So part of my storyline was like twerking. They called me a virgin. I was a twerking virgin.
Oh my God. What?
So they called me a twergin. And I remember
not a twerk.
a twergin. Tyra, you know how she is on her name.
Right.
And I remember girls being like so mad and like hating, like I would never degrade myself for TV. And I'm like, I'm twerking and I'm having a good time.
Right.
But okay.
Right.
I made the show. They did not.
Right.
But yeah, I was just myself. I was nervous, but I was like, go in there and leave it on the table. And that's what I did. And I flew back home. I went back to work. And then maybe like 3 weeks later, I got a call like 1 a.m. saying like, you're a semi-finalist. Congratulations. Now this time they were flying me out.
Right.
So that's when everything just started to kind of like snowball.
What was your reaction? What was your thoughts?
Screaming, jumping on the bed.
Right.
And my little brother, who went with me when I got rejected, like probably 3 or 4
How
years
old was
prior.
he?
He's a year under than me, so he's not that much younger.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a year under. He came in the room like, you made it, didn't you?
Okay.
And I was like, not yet, but like kinda. Like, you know,
Right.
because you gotta go through the casting week. And casting week is like 3 weeks. And it's wild. Like, you're really quarantined. Like, before the pandemic, I was quarantined. You're like in a hotel room by yourself. You cannot leave. You cannot have a phone. You cannot go on the internet. You cannot know what's going on in the world. You're going through a bunch of different psych evaluations, talking to different therapists. You're getting blood drawn. You're getting STD checks. Your urine samples. I mean, you're getting shot with things because you might be going abroad. Like, it's a strenuous and crazy ass process.
Right.
So after probably about 3 weeks of that, the camera started filming. Then it was about, okay, how can you stand out? Like, how can you be expressive or funny, or how can you leave an impact? So, you know, we start working around, we start talking, and then from there, from all the different tests they did, the studies of our personalities, they figured out who meshed perfectly together. And yeah, then it was like, okay, well, these are the top 13, and filming started.
This is bringing back memories, traumatic memories for me of you know, that marriage show. Married at First Sight. They did all that for Married at First Sight.
Oh wow.
It's kind of like the same.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do it now. You know, at 22 with nothing to lose, and you haven't seen anything.
Right.
I was like, what do I have to lose, right? But at 31, I'm like, I don't want nobody to have that much control over my day-to-day life, talking to you crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of want to circle back because you talked about getting rejected so many times, even down to like just going on auditions in LA and trying to get signed with the agency and all sort of stuff. How do you deal with rejection, very like business-wise, modeling-wise? Like, how did you start to get such a tough skin, if you got it ever?
I was about to say, I wouldn't even say I have a tough skin. I feel like it depends on the time, honestly. Like, I feel like a lot of people come on and they're like, oh, like they act like you arrive at this place where you're just settled. And I think it's always up and down. Your emotions are always fluctuating. You know, there are certain jobs I really want, and when I don't get them, I'm devastated. And then there are certain jobs where I'm like, I want it, but like, whatever, I got this going on. Or I could be in a moment in my life where I just feel more trusting of my experience, because that fluctuates. Sometimes you're full of faith, sometimes you're full of fear. You know, so it really depends on the month, the time, the season. Sometimes I'm like, whatever. And then sometimes I'm just fearful and just like, what's next?
Yeah.
You know, it really depends.
Yeah. I feel like right now, a lot of businesses are going through a down spiral, mostly because of inflation and the recession, and a lot of customers, not even just customers, a lot of businesses are applying for venture capitalists and like loans, and it's a lot of rejection right now when you're trying to put out new products and do a sale and all this advertisement, and customers are not coming in the door the way they used to. Investors are not investing like they used to. Banks are not giving money like they used to. So there's a lot of rejection in the business world that people in general just have to deal with. And I think people don't anticipate all of that and the emotional things that come with that.
Yeah, I think that where we are in society, everything's about being like a girl boss or being a boss, being an entrepreneur, like really sensationalized, is really popular. I was talking to my boyfriend yesterday about how everyone is not an entrepreneur, and that is okay.
Right.
Like, we don't need everybody to be a boss. Like, it's really about finding what makes you happy. If that's a teacher, if that's a coach, if it's a photographer, like, great. But I just think that with social media, we're all like racing against each other and racing against time. And I really like what Monica's doing, so I want to come up with a store. And you really have to figure out how to be authentic and what really feels right for you, even if that doesn't make sense to other people. You know, because that's why I think so much of the emotional trauma comes from, is trying to fit yourself in spaces where it really doesn't make sense. Right. And then you're looking at Monica do well, and you're like, well, why isn't it me? So then you mad at Monica. And she's doing what she's supposed to be doing. Right. You know? So. And
Monica might not even be doing well in real life. Like, you,
that too.
Instagram, social media is the highlights. You only see in the highlights. Like,
absolutely.
Monica might be on the floor right now.
Some days we all on the floor. Okay? It's life.
Like, that picture don't mean nothing. That picture don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
It's good to hear the story about how you didn't give up. Because I always give up.
Okay, so you're a fleer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm a stayer.
So it's good to hear that. It's inspiring.
Yeah, and it's tough though. Like, cause you hear that and you're like, you think it's just like, you know, you don't account the emotional toll that comes from
100%
staying the course.
Yeah.
Like the severe anxiety I developed, like the depression.
I was gonna ask, what was the aftermath?
So top model, I lost 20 pounds filming the show, and I didn't really have 20 pounds.
You supposed to do that or
no? Like stress. Okay. So I realized while I was filming the show that I don't want to say I can handle pressure, but I can't handle too many things at once. Like I get really like cluttered.
What's your sign?
I'm an Aries.
You an Aries?
Yes, I'm really headstrong. Super headstrong.
When is your birthday?
March 22nd.
Oh wow.
Are you March, Andy?
Right. I'm an April. I'm April Aries.
So I don't know if you know a lot about. Oh, you're Aries.
Yeah. Aries.
Okay, so you might be a different Aries than me because you're April.
Yeah, because you're March. Yeah.
But I am. I'm really headstrong, but I get overstimulated sometimes. And you know, I put myself out there really young. I didn't really know myself. Yeah. So when I went on the show, it was so much pressure and it was constant surprises. Like I couldn't like relax. So you go through like almost 2.5 months of not being able to relax, of not knowing what's behind the corner. Right. And it really made my anxiety. I feel like I had anxiety probably like most of my life, but it made it like really, really bad. But because I was so young and I wanted the show so bad, I was able to kind of like ignore it. Right. But as I got older, it got worse because I never really figured out like how to deal with it. So it was something I had definitely had to, I'm still navigating and I'm still tackling. But top model definitely bothered me. Like it definitely left an impression. It was a little bit of a traumatic experience. Yeah. But at the same time, it was like a dream come true. I'm glad I got to do it. It was like a bittersweet thing.
Now, I feel like your dreams come with, you think about your dreams, you think about the good things, but you don't think about what your dreams come with.
They come with a price.
I think everything comes with hard work.
Every
hard work. But you realize the more you are in the business world, you realize that the people that won had to go through all the craziest stuff. Like they went through so many trials and tribulations, and you're just like, dang, that's why you're winning right now.
Are you ready?
It's because you went through 17,000 hills and valleys and ups and downs, and you stuck through the whole thing. Apparently,
I think it's debatable. Because my boyfriend, he is really successful, and he is attached to, he has a bunch of millionaire mentors. Right. And they all lost something, like whether it's a relationship with their kids, whether it's their spouse, whether it's their peace, where they're like taking Adderall to sleep at night, and they have all the money, and they can fly anywhere, and they have young hot girls or whatever. But you have to, I don't know if there's really a balance, but you have to nurture more than just money. like it can't just be career.
Yeah.
Like you have to be willing to look at yourself and say what's important, and then know when to pay into something and know when to take away from something. And I think that we just get so fixated on like the entrepreneurial aspect of life that we allow other relationships to suffer.
Right.
So I try to make sure that I'm like really present. Like I'm always seeing my family. Really present as a girlfriend. I make sure I make time for friends, and I make sure that my life is not just about like productivity.
Yeah.
Because it's really more to life than that.
So much more.
That's my lesson. I'm 26.
Okay.
So that's my lesson this year, balance. So it's funny that you said that.
Mine is intentionality.
Okay.
Yeah,
As the year is coming to an end, I look back and I said, what did I learn this year? And I'm like, balance.
Yeah.
All I did this year was work. I lost a lot because I'm focused on work.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm past that point. I think I'm really being intentional about like making sure that I sleep 8 hours.
Okay.
I enjoy going to sleep at night and waking up in the morning refreshed. Like I'm not sacrificing my sleep anymore. When I opened my business, for the first 2-3 years, I didn't take any days off. I feel like I needed that to get to where I am now. But the first 3 years of business, I worked 7 days a week. And then after the third year, I took Sundays off. And then after the fifth year, I took Sundays and Mondays off.
I'm happy you did it.
And now I kind of went back to just taking Sundays off, but Mondays I work by myself. Like I don't open the store, I just work on computer stuff, or I just work on my stuff in peace, just because I don't like sitting at home for 2 whole days. I can do it on Sundays, but I can't do it Sunday and Monday anymore. It's just too much quiet. So
I just did it.
Like just being intentional about like, because as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, you can get so hyper focused on like, oh, let me accept this job, let me do this work, let me accept this mission, let me do that, and then it's just like you run yourself dry for so many years. And again, I think you need that part of the business, because that's what gets your names in all these rooms years later. Like, oh, I know Monica can do this, or I know Raelia can do this, or I heard this photographer can do that. Because they saw you hustle those years.
Absolutely.
But there's a time where you have to stop.
But I also feel like those hustle years teach you so much about yourself and about what you need to do better, where you need to improve, how you can do things smarter instead of harder. So you definitely need the hustle years, because everything is your teacher. I just realized that in my life, I attached so much of my worth to what I did. To me being a model, to me doing this, and I really struggled, especially through the pandemic when everything stopped. And I was like, well, who am I?
Right.
Because all I ever knew was I was a model. And when that stopped, I was like miserable and depressed.
2020 was the year though. That was the year of.
I love 2020.
I did not.
It was lesson. It was a year
it
was a restart year. It was a reset. It was a reset year.
Because we're really all living our different stories. Like, and I was like, it could have been like 2019 was an amazing year for me, and that could have been a horrible year for you, right? And it's just like we're never always like aligned. But you having a great year, that's great. But like for me, it was like, what the hell is about to happen?
Right.
You know, like what's going on?
It was a terrible year, but looking back, it was a great year. It was needed.
Yeah, I needed to stop.
I don't know if I needed that year.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know if I needed that.
You didn't need 2020.
You came out with your clothing line and your
right.
Yeah, but like I don't think I needed that.
But you, again, like she
it wasn't
said,
like a reality check, or you didn't learn.
It just wasn't. I've learned a lot, but it wasn't a pleasurable experience for me mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
So it's not something I will like and be like, oh, like I can't wrap it in a bow and be like that year. Like I can't do that for that year, but I can do it for life. But like that year, and we all have years where we may not have had the best year. Like it's life is a book, right? It's just a chapter. But yeah, it was just a traumatic year. Like the trauma, seeing so many people lose their lives and not really knowing what was next. Like I don't think I needed it.
Right. Yeah. What were you guys doing at 26? I always ask this question. I'm so curious because I'm going.
26 was a really hard year for me.
Okay.
It was a really hard year for me.
25, 26.
I had left LA, I think at 24, and I had went to like Africa for a few months. I was in Miami for a bit, and then I came to New York. And I remember when I turned 26, I had left my parents' house for good. Me and my dad was having some horrible drama. I moved in with my boyfriend, but I was in a really tough space where modeling had slowed down around that time. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, because all of my 20s was about me being a model, and I had the show, and I had, so many people were looking at me and so proud of me, and I didn't know what was next. Like, I really, like, I didn't have an agency in New York. I didn't have an agency in Philly. I was like, I had one in Africa, but like, I'm not in Africa. Right. I had one in Miami, but I don't live in Miami. So I was just in a place where I wasn't really sure what I was doing, and I was just trying to like hold it all together. So I actually released a book at 26 called Trust Your Journey, about my life, like a little bit of like a memoir, but more of an inspirational tale about like my experiences and all that I was learning and all that I learned from like everything I've experienced. But it was tough because I really was like trying to figure out like, am I gonna keep doing this modeling thing, or what you about to do?
What made you do a book? Because I mean, looking back now, everybody's saying, you know, you should come out with a book, you should be an author of something. It really kind of staples your name into whatever that career that your book is focused around. What made you want to come out with a book at 26?
I was in Miami with a friend from Philly, and she knew Just Mike, the poet.
Okay.
And we linked up with him, and he knew who I was. He knew a little bit about my experience on the show. And he was like, you should write a book. Like, you got a real dope story. Because we were by the pool. We were just talking. And I was like, you think so? He was like, yeah. And then I went back to the model house that night, and I just started writing.
Okay.
And so, because I got busy again, I didn't have time to really pay attention to the book or finish it. But then at 26, and I think that silent seasons really happen to develop you or develop your gifts or your tools. 26, things like stopped. It got real silent, and I finished it. And I had nothing else to do but to finish it. Yeah. So that's what I did. I finished it, and then I released it. Had a great book signing, had a great turnout, and then after that, got signed again. Got signed to like 5 different agencies, and career picked up crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. It seemed like entrepreneur life is just ups and downs.
Yeah, that's life period.
Yeah, probably like
not seen.
It is. Yeah, and it's life.
I was gonna say when I was 26, I had the store for 1 year because I opened when I was 25. And I really was like, okay, I'm going to close this store.
Yeah.
Because it was like 1 year in, I was like, you know how people say, like, if you build it, they will come? They lied.
They did. They will not.
Nobody will come if you build it.
They will not.
They will not be there. And I was looking for the people to come every day for a year. And I, like I said, I was at the store every single day. I never closed. And some days people would walk in, most days they wouldn't. And I had to keep showing up. And it wasn't until after 3 years where I was like, okay, I can take a day off. Because now I have consistent customers. Now I have consistent revenue. But it took 3 years for that to happen. So after 1 year, I was like, okay, Monica, what are we going to do? Because I don't know if I can afford rent. I don't know if I can, like, stay living with my dad. Because I had moved to Jersey at that point, living with my dad. So I was going from Jersey to Philly every day to open my store. And I was just like, this might not be it. And I don't know if I got another job at that time at 26. But I was just like, I got comfortable with the idea of like, maybe I'm not a store owner. Like I got comfortable with the idea of like, okay, maybe
I got there
this isn't the path. And maybe I'm going to have to do something different. And I just went through it. And then eventually the tables turned into success. So I just kept going.
I'm going through same thing as each other. We're at 26.
Wait till you get to 30.
I'm scared. I'm scared. I remember somebody on Twitter said they was like 19, and I think she said something like, "Oh my God, I'm about to be 21 or whatever." So somebody quoted the tweet and was like, wait till you get to 25. And somebody like, wait till you get to 30.
Wait till you get to 40.
Right. Wait till you get to 67.
Because life is so tricky. It's like you can have a great year in business and then like have a horrible year in love. Or a horrible year in family. A horrible year with yourself. And you're constantly just trying to figure it out. And you're always figuring it out.
I'm going through this phase where I want to find like a real job, get a certificate in something, just in case my entrepreneur life don't work out. Did you guys ever feel that?
Sometimes still.
Right.
To be honest. To be honest, like I don't lie about anything. Sometimes you just feel like, especially after the pandemic, it's like, what is something that I can do that's recession proof?
Right.
Like that, if all this goes away, you know, I have something to lean on. You know, that is such a normal thought process. Like,
and I think it's smart right now.
It is. I mean, but it's always smart because life has so many twists and turns. And
that's what I learned.
I try not to move from fear, but I try to make sure I'm diverse.
Yeah.
Where there's multiple streams of income, where I have multiple tools and multiple gifts and skills that I know can make me money if something decides to slow down.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with just learning as much as you can and getting those certificates and just figuring out like how to make money. Just don't lose yourself in all of it though. Like make sure you finish things, make sure you master things, because you can have a bunch of things that ain't gonna work because you're not really that great at any of them.
Right.
And then you can have one thing that works because you mastered it.
Right.
So
one thing I think is recession proof, and that's why I'm like kind of leaning into this now, is teaching. Like, people are always going to want to learn. People are always going to need to learn a new skill. Just like you're saying, you want to get a certificate in something, somebody got to teach you whatever you about to get their certificate in.
Right.
That's why I'm like, I'm leaning into like teaching other designers how to make money off of pattern making, how you can make money off of sketching, how you can make money off of your line, your website, how you can add different graphic designs to your own stuff so you don't have to pay somebody else to do it. So I know, Raelia, you have a masterclass, a modeling masterclass. How did you, are you still doing the teaching modeling? And
yeah, so first I will say that my recession proof thing is digital marketing.
Okay.
Like Meta, Facebook ads. But I do have a masterclass. I released it in May. I released it because I had someone that was like, you really should teach. Like, I think you'll be great at it. And I was always like helping other models and sharing my story. So I just created the masterclass, and it's like a 6 to 8 week course. You can take it at your own pace, and I have not been marketing it enough, but it's definitely still there. It's just that when you have more than one thing going on, sometimes it's difficult to do everything at one time and still be like living life. So I'm trying to find that balance, because sometimes you could be too busy, or you can just be chasing too much, and you gotta like slow down and be like, okay, what should I be paying attention to right now? But I do one-on-one coaching. So I have a model right now that I'm actually coaching who took the masterclass and hired me to be her coach, which is essentially teaching.
Right.
I also just taught with John Casablancas, the modeling institution that has been around forever.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, if you were interested in modeling, there was like John Casablancas and John Robert Powers, and they have been around forever. So I just did my first teaching session with them. So I'm definitely looking into teaching, but I really want to do like marketing, because I feel
marketing for yourself or for other people,
wherever it takes me.
Okay.
I just know that marketing really makes the difference in entrepreneurship.
It does.
You cannot depend on who you know. You cannot depend on organic posting. You cannot depend on just taking pretty pictures. Like, you got to be able to target an audience and get your stuff out there. And I'm online based, so I'm strictly like online. Your situation is different.
Yeah.
But I'm strictly online, so I have to constantly attack the market, see what's out there, and figure out my people. So because I've had to learn how to do that, and people come to me for advice because they swear I know everything.
Right.
I'm constantly teaching people how to do it too. So I don't know exactly where it's going to take me, but it's definitely a skill that I can like have under my belt, under my toolbox.
I think it would be good.
Thank you.
I think we've been talking for 20 minutes, and I done learned
so much.
Thank you.
I do want to kind of go deeper into, right now you have the accessory line, the modeling, coaching, being a model, the swimsuit line, Is there anything else that we missed that you also do? You have the book or books?
I wrote 2 books.
2 books.
Yeah, I wrote 2 books. I was working on another book on and off, but then I was just like, let me just focus on business right now and just focus on things that are the most important. I can always write a book. I have a podcast too called Everything is Everything.
Yes, let's get into the podcast. How long have you been podcasting?
I started podcasting in 2020. When the pandemic happened.
See, and you talking
y'all not gonna change my mind on this. Y'all not gonna change your mind.
about 2020.
Because I didn't like it.
Maybe.
But I did a lot.
I did like it.
I know. It's been a couple years. It's about to be 2023.
Right.
Cause I turned 30 during the pandemic. Everything was just like in my way. But I started podcasting, and I started off with a bunch of guests. I like interview like lawyers. I interview therapists, sex researchers, anybody that I feel like could come on an episode to contribute to a conversation that I really wanted to have. So I named the podcast Everything is Everything because I didn't really want to like make it a niche where it was only about one thing. I like talking about everything. Like literally everything from sex to health to mental health to entrepreneurship to I just interviewed a Black farmer who has this amazing business in farming. So I named it that, and I just started moving from that space. I was doing everything on my own, and I still do. I actually just took a little hiatus from the podcast because life just was lifing a little bit.
Right.
But I have like probably 45 episodes with just great talk points and different guests.
Do you like it? Like, do you like podcasting?
I do.
Okay.
I
And,
enjoy
like,
podcasting.
because it's all on you versus you having a co-host or...
Oh, I had a co-host for about maybe 2 months, and it was just like a disaster.
A disaster?
It literally was a disaster. And she was one of the girls, Taurus, I think. I think. No, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Lord help me, please, with these
Maybe
signs.
a Taurus. I don't know, but something fiery. But the issue is just she was in a place where she wants a soft life,
Okay.
and yeah, I'm like,
What does that mean?
I respect everybody's interests and everybody wherever they are in their life. But for me, I'm like, but life's not always soft though. So like, what do you
mean
want
by
to
soft?
do?
She wanted a soft.
Like she didn't want to work hard. Like if it felt hard, it wasn't for her.
Oh, okay.
Because life shouldn't be hard.
Oh, okay.
That was her mentality.
Okay.
So I was like, well, building a business, being a model, shit gets hard.
Right.
Right.
And you still gotta do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to work.
Right.
She never finished anything she started. She never launched anything she wanted to do. So she came into my world, and I'm like teaching her how to do all these things, and she's like, you just do a lot. And it was kind of like triggering her, like making her anxious, because everybody mind processes things differently. Like I'm an overachiever. I love to be productive, where she's just like, I do things on my own time when I feel motivated or when I feel called. And I'm like, no, I work through the lack of motivation.
Right.
So I just think those different perspectives just didn't align. And then she took things way too personally. So she always had something to complain about.
She sound like a Taurus.
And she was bringing nothing to the table. Like I was providing everything from food to, I offered gas money, I offered filming, I edited the podcast, I wrote the segments, like I did everything. And then you keep coming on my line and you keep saying, I really would like if I could just feel more comfortable on camera. And like that's something that you have to learn. Like that's for you. Like I can't help you do that. So I told her, like, listen, and it was respectful. I was like, I'm doing a lot. I would really like if you would just see what I was doing and just be practical and like really like be easier to work with, because I really am taking it serious and I like working with you. But it's really hard to work with someone who just has like a nitpicker.
Was she a friend?
No, she was someone she was one of the models I went to LA with when I went right before the top model thing happened. But she was not a friend, but she was someone that I had a pretty good rapport with.
Okay.
So I was like, and I don't like working with friends.
Okay.
Because nobody works like me. And sometimes you can lose out on friendship by trying to turn friends into business partners and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just try not to mix that.
Yeah.
So she was somebody that I was like, I like you. We got together good. We never had an argument. You want to talk? She started a little YouTube series, and I was like, I saw some potential.
So you saw that she was already kind of doing things on her own in the same
like
realm.
Yeah, like it didn't grow yet. She didn't like fully like water the seed, but I saw like the potential, and I was like, you could just come on to my situation. Like you ain't gotta worry about nothing as far as the platform or how to do it. Like just come and just let's figure it out. Like we can figure out how to monetize later, but right now let's just build it.
Right.
And she just had a different perspective, so we parted ways.
So now you enjoy doing it just by yourself?
Yeah, I wanted to bring her in because I did so many podcasts and it was always me or me talking to somebody else, and I wanted a different perspective. I wanted like the kind of what you guys have going on. Two friends, different people. Because it's fun when you're doing something with someone you like, you know? And I wanted that, but then I was like, you know what? Maybe that's just not right for me.
But you could always look for somebody else who's different.
I tried.
And you're like,
it'll come.
Yeah, and I just like, you know what, when it's supposed to come, it'll come. I didn't make it a thing. I just went back to doing what I know. But I did take a break. I took a break because I was like just dealing with doing so much. Launching in your store around that time and another store and then the master class, and I'm giving out speeches. And so I
also think it's really important to like know when you need a break. Because really, if you stretch yourself so thin, you're really doing a disservice to each part of the business that you're trying to do. Because everything's going to fail if you're trying to make everything a success.
I
You
agree.
kind of have to make one thing a success first and then go to the next thing and make that a success.
I agree.
But that first thing, you need to also leave some people or some seeds and some stuff behind to take care of that first thing you nourish, so that when you nourish something over here, there's still water dripping on this first thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
I
when
agree.
you go to the second.
And that's exactly where I feel like I am. Like, I made it, I figured out the modeling thing, and
Right.
you know, I got established just that, and then I launched the accessory line, and that's working. And the swimsuit line is kind of adjacent to what I do because I'm a model, right?
Right.
But then it's like, even when I'm pushing the accessory line, the swimsuit line is always in a you know, an atmosphere. It's just that it's seasonal
Yeah.
where we are, so it's not a big deal if I'm not marketing it as much because it's freaking cold outside.
Right.
But the jewelry, I'm like hitting constantly, like making sure I'm doing what I need to do, creating reels, marketing, Facebook ads, like everything to make sure like that business is flourishing. Because the better that business does, the better everything will do.
I want to touch on team for a bit. Have you ever like had a big team? Have you ever had a small team? Have you ever had an intern or used members within, like, even for modeling? Like, have you ever had a team where you could kind of lean on them for support?
I don't think I've ever had a team.
Okay.
So I have like a friend who's like my in-house photographer. He came to your store.
Yes.
Like, he's someone that I can always call, always use. He'll support, do whatever I need him to do. But as far as like an intern, an assistant, I do everything on my own.
Yeah. I always encourage people, get help, please.
I try, but
You
people
can-
don't be doing what I need them to do.
I'm telling you. Well, you can always, even for those listening, you can literally always reach out to your local high schools, your local colleges. They have programs, fashion marketing, fashion design, marketing in general, engineering, graphic design. Those interns are looking for unique opportunities to work for a business with unique opportunities. Like, working for you would be a unique opportunity and an experience that a college intern at Drexel or Temple would never be able to have anywhere else. And them just editing the photos and putting captions behind it for your website, or looking up copy, or doing research for something that you need to do for your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, these are opportunities that these students are looking for.
Right, and you told me that when we had a conversation at your store.
Mm-hmm.
What I realized is that I do really enjoy the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to be the one doing those things. Like, that's fun for me. I like to be
there's
the
only
one,
so many hours a
but
day.
exactly. But there's other things that I don't enjoy. So eventually, as I grow, I definitely want to be able to, and I like to pay people too. That's another thing. I know some internships can be paid,
Some
not.
they're not.
I know. I just, as a model, as a struggling artist, I used to be a very struggling artist.
Mm-hmm.
So
Some
I like
schools
to
don't even
pay-
let you pay them.
Okay.
Some schools don't even let you pay them. Don't make it more than what it has to be. Like, it's nice if I give you, $10 or $20 whenever you come in, because I'm paying for your transportation and your lunch. But the school does not require you to pay that. And some schools pay them for you. Like, there are programs that I know there's the Work Ready program. They pay the high school students $11 an hour to come into my store and intern for me.
Oh, that's dope.
So I know that they're getting paid through that program. But there's also, again, other ways to do it. You can just pay for their transportation when they come and go. And that's only $10 or $15, each way, if they're getting on local transportation, or if they're getting an Uber, or you can just pay for their lunch every time they come in. Here's a $20 bonus every time. But it's a much more affordable way, and you get to relieve a lot of stress.
I can see that.
And it teaches you how to delegate certain tasks. Like, the more you do it, the better you get at becoming a leader, a manager, and the more you have space to do the other things that you want to do in your business.
I agree.
I feel like too many entrepreneurs are trying to do every single thing.
I talked about this. It's so funny.
You're
because
losing sleep over it.
I think there's times for that, though. I think there's times to do everything, and then I think there's time to delegate, and you really have to be honest about where you are in your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw somebody talking about this on Instagram. They were like, "You stupid if you doing everything on your own." And it's like, if you figuring out how to sell a product every day, and you making money, but it's not enough right now, you don't need to be worried about hiring nobody else right now. You need to be worried about how to keep doing what you're doing and how to maximize off it. So I think you have to be in your story, because I always say that there's more than one way to hit a target.
Right.
Like some people have mentors, right? I never had a mentor, and I got so far without having a mentor. Some people need somebody to tell them, do this.
Right.
You can learn from books. You can learn through
100%.
YouTube. You can learn through podcasts. But there's nothing wrong with a mentor. And if I ever was able to come across someone who I felt like could water me and they wanted to mentor me, I wouldn't turn it down.
Right.
But am I inadequate without one? No. Am I like out here every day like I need a mentor? No. I just think that there's a time and a season in your life where you just gotta let things come to you.
I agree.
You know, and if you're preparing and you're doing the work, that's all you can do. You know, where you are in your career, amazing, phenomenal. You seeing that, it make, and I'm not saying this is how you feel, but it can make you be like, oh, I need to be doing Monica, I need to have this. And no, you need to be doing what you know how to do, and you can learn from Monica. But y'all's story gonna always look different. Y'all obstacles gonna always be different. You know, so I think there has to be a component of authenticity and trusting, even besides someone who's so great.
Right. I agree with that.
I think in the beginning, doing everything yourself is a part of it.
I agree.
Because you have to know how to do the job.
You have to know how to do
how
the
you
job.
teach somebody.
But I think people also don't know when it's time to let go. And they keep doing every
Some
job,
people,
every job.
This one guy, I'm not gonna say the name of the brand, but once he started handing his business over, he was a new business, but once he started handing his business over to other people, something like bad happened in his business.
Well, he wasn't doing it right.
It's a risk.
I don't think there's
And
a
I
one
think-
size fits all, right? Like even
It's
with the
a risk.
drop shipping thing, I don't like drop shipping because I really like to feel my product. I like to know what each item looks like before it goes out. Some people rely solely on drop shipping, but there's a risk with drop shipping, but there's also a reward. And I think it's like that with everything. It's about what you're willing to.
Well, I personally don't think that you should drop ship items that you have not seen first. You can order it to your place first before it's shipped out.
Right, but
Jada
Waiter, she did that. She got samples. She talked about launching a hair care business, became a millionaire, and over time, what they started doing was giving her faulty products because she had so much orders and she had only had the samples.
Right.
So it's just so complex. You just never know,
She
right?
said she was drop shipping.
So she started out, of course, she got her samples, and she started the drop shipping thing. And then she said when people were getting a product, it wasn't what they liked. It wasn't the quality that she received. She has more than one business, by the way. I'm talking about the hair one.
The hair one. I thought she said that she had ordered the big bundle, but from time to time they would put the messed up ones in the bundle, and she wouldn't check it.
Okay, maybe that was it.
Shipping it out.
Maybe that was it, but she was working with the same buyer, and she realized that the first, thing she got, the first, what would you call it? The first bundle she got was good quality,
Makes sense.
right?
She ordered a whole big.
But when she and that's the risk. That's the risk with having product in your house. I have friends with the drop shipping, and he has like an apparel line, and he got the samples and they were great, and then they were sending like words, like things to his customers that was not what he ever okayed. So you gotta find the people.
Yeah.
You gotta go through some things to find your people.
Yeah. Again, research. You gotta do your own research. It takes a lot.
And trial and error. Absolutely, because people will leave. Like people will go. Like you won't work good with everybody, or they might get a better opportunity, or may not believe in this. So many reasons why people just leave your journey, and it's all for the better of you and them, and it's not always personal.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part though. If everybody is here, everybody doesn't have to be here forever. Sometimes some people are just for a season, whether that's in your real life, your business life, any aspect of your life, is just a season. Some people literally just want to pretend to be interested in your businesses just because they want extra money for the moment or needed that opportunity for them, and then the next week they might be gone, and that's fine. And that's fine, because everybody's not meant for every situation, and everybody doesn't need to stay forever. But you want the people who want to go, you want them to go.
For sure.
You don't want people who don't want to be there to stay forever.
Yeah.
Or too long.
When you find somebody, you gotta hold on to them tight.
And somebody good.
Yeah, I must say it. But then, like, sometimes what was good, sometimes is no longer good. You might have somebody that you worked great with for a decade, and then, like, you look up and, yeah.
Before we go, because I know we only have a couple of minutes left, is there anything that you're like boosting right now, promoting right now that you have coming up in the coming months?
Well, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all of that's the holiday season.
Yes.
So I'll be doing a major sale, probably about 35% off both websites. Maybe a little more for the swim because, seasonal market. And come buy these swimsuits, y'all.
Come buy the swimsuits.
So my website is waveswimofficial.com. That's for the swimsuits and resort wear. And my accessory line is shopaccessorize.com.
Okay. Z, did you have any questions that we didn't get to? I know you had a lot that you
I know.
wanted to
I heard
add.
astrology.
I didn't really have questions. I had comments. I learned a lot just from you being here.
Oh, well, thank
So
you.
I hope that the people listening learn too.
Yeah,
I learned that don't give up.
Never.
100%.
Never.
And rejection is a part of the process.
Yeah.
But also make space for grief and emotions, because I feel like we
Yeah.
say never give up, but we don't. Sometimes you be wanting to, because you be like, what's happening in my mind or in my body? Like, heavy. When you are on the brink of something big, when I tell you feel like you're losing everything,
Yeah.
Look,
you feel like you're losing everything, just lean into that.
You make me feel better.
Just trust that. No, seriously.
I'm going
But
to
also
love.
cry and do what you need.
Of
Like, do
course.
that.
yeah.
But then you keep moving, keep getting dressed, keep getting up, talk to people. Make sure you have emotional support. That's why I realized I needed a lot this year. Was like emotional support.
Yeah.
Because people will come out and they'll come to a party. You know, they'll call you and the gossip. Or if you got a new photo shoot, they'll come and they may buy something or look at. But like when you really down and you need somebody to remind you that you're good enough. You need somebody to remind you why you started.
Yeah.
Those people are
people?
transformational.
Yeah.
Who are those people in your life?
Who are those people?
Yeah.
When I was in Dubai, the person who I was like hanging with a lot, he said, pay attention to who creates positive and who creates negative emotions for you when you speak to them.
Mm.
Like sometimes you talk to people and you feel uplifted after that conversation. You feel good about what you're about to do. You feel good about life or happy about every situation just because that's a cool, happy person. That's a person who uplifts you. And there's other people where you're sad every time you get off the phone with them.
Yeah.
Your mood is down. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
You feel like they're taking away from your energy every time you talk to them.
And people can
Know
do
who
that.
those people are.
And sometimes it's very covert and very subtle. Like I'm learning, like you may not realize how much someone is draining you because they're not being overtly disrespectful. Yeah. But like you just being yourself and them always questioning that, or them always having a little comment that makes you go home and say, what did that mean?
Right.
Like those you gotta watch like the way people make you feel, but then you also have to make sure that you're not projecting.
Yeah.
And that you're not insecure.
Yeah.
Because those two things can go hand in hand. Sometimes if you're not self-aware, you can think it's everybody but you.
Yeah.
So you
100%.
need to be aware of how you contribute to things and to make sure that you're emotionally available enough to know when it's you and when you know you ain't tripping.
Right.
You know, and I got to a space now where I can trust like myself to know when it ain't me.
Right.
And when I know I ain't tripping.
Yeah.
So that emotional support is so important. I think that we don't know we need that. We don't know what it looks like until we start doing the personal work.
Yeah. I think until you start to get out of your 20s.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like maybe when you're in your 20s, if you're aware enough of yourself and your personality, you can start to get aware, I feel like, of those things in your late 20s, past 25.
Yes.
And from then forward, you're like,
learning.
okay, these are my people. These aren't my people. I love this personality. I don't like that
then you
personality.
Can't wait to see somebody so you can talk to them and tell them something.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then somebody ever call you, be like, absolutely not. I'm not answering.
But sometimes you can't wait for somebody to go.
Yeah.
And it could be somebody that you previously liked. And then you start being like, as you start getting to them late 20s, those early 30s, you start being like, you a lot. Or you just start being aware of like the way they make you feel.
Yeah.
Like the things they say, how they try to belittle you, or how everything is a joke when it comes to you and how you think. And you don't need that around you.
Yep.
You know, you don't. So you just gotta watch your people. And then the sucky part about this is the grief that comes after you have to choose.
Yeah, you have to let those people go.
That is not.
I be
a
happy
walk in
letting
the park.
people go.
I don't.
I be so joyous.
Evil Aquarius.
I'm not, look, oh my
And that's
God.
another thing I'm learning. Like we all have a different love language, fight language, and pivot.
Look, I had a friend for a very long time, like 20 years, and one day we decided to let go.
You know.
And I was just like, I have been chilling ever since, because that was a phone call that every time I got it, I knew that this person would get off the phone feeling happy, but I would get off feeling drained.
But that happened over time though.
Yeah.
Right? That was a something that kind of happened. It wasn't like an instantaneous thing. So sometimes this grief while you're still connected to that person.
Mhm.
And there's sometimes there's grief when you're connected and when you're disconnected until you finally get to.
We gotta have you back on the podcast. Like, you gotta be a reoccurring guest because
I would love to be. Thank you.
because I feel like there's a lot more to talk about with you for sure. And we do a lot of like fashion news and like runway recaps and stuff. And we gotta have Raelia.
I am not for.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna close. Great conversation.
Thank you.
But I'm gonna close with this. Oh my god.
Top tier.
Anyway, as my sign is abundance, and that's what we focus on over here on this side of the chair. But I'm gonna close with our saying, which is make sure you count your blessings before you count your money.
I like that.
All right, guys, have a good day.